When my brother's joke led to an MRI, I discovered life-changing truths about hidden pain. It was supposed to be just another sunny afternoon in Maplewood, where the smell of burgers sizzling on the grill danced into the air, mingling with the laughter of friends and family. Jake, the town's favorite jokester, had everyone doubled over in laughter, his bright smile lighting up the backyard like the sun itself. But beneath that lively exterior, Jake fought unseen battles, anxiety that clutched at his chest and chronic pain that whispered, always, just out of sight. Little did he know that this very day would unravel a truth he had hidden away. "Hey, big bro, bet I can throw better than you," Tommy called out, excitement gleaming in his eyes as he tossed a baseball into the air, the sunlight glinting off it like a spark of hope. Jake chuckled, ready to engage in their usual brotherly rivalry. "You wish, Tommy. Let us see what you've got." With a wink, he dove into the game, laughter ringing out like music. But then it happened. Just as Jake launched into a particularly exaggerated wind-up, pain shot through him like lightning. He staggered back, laughter abruptly cut off, replaced by confusion and dread. Then, in an instant, he collapsed onto the grass. Gasps filled the air. Laughter turned to alarm. "Jake!" Tommy's voice pierced through the chaos as their family rushed to his side. The car ride to the hospital was a blur, the laughter of the barbecue forgotten, replaced by fearing silence and unspoken worries. Moments felt like hours as they waited for the MRI results, each tick of the clock amplifying the tension. And as they sat there, the weight of unacknowledged pain hung heavily in the air. They all wore their family masks, cheerful, hard-working, meeting the standards of the American dream, yet each of them bore their own silent struggles. "How can we hold it together?" Jake's mom whispered to his dad, her hands nervously twisting in her lap. "We need to be strong for him." But the strength she sought became a palpable strain within the waiting area, each family member lost in their own thoughts. When the diagnosis arrived, the air became electric with an unforeseen mix of shock and revelation. Words like chronic pain and anxiety echoed, unveiling secrets that had been hidden for far too long. The realization that Jake was not alone in his struggle hung in the air like a heavy fog. Each family member recognized their own burdens as they processed the truth. Laughter, while a beautiful mask, could never substitute real connection. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Emerging from the hospital, the family felt changed, a new bond forged in the fire of vulnerability. They resolved to embrace their truths instead of burying them beneath layers of laughter. Yet, as they exited, lingering questions clouded their minds. Would the community still see them as the perfect family when they were flawed? Could they truly share their pain together? The road ahead loomed uncertain, yet hope glimmered faintly in the shadows, ready to guide them toward the answers they sought. The next few weeks felt surreal for Jake and his family. After that frightening day at the hospital, an unspoken understanding replaced the usual family banter. It was as though they had stepped into a new reality where authenticity reigned over pretense. It was hard to adjust. Laughter no longer came easily, and the shadows of their thoughts, once hidden, became prominent. Tommy, normally the little brother who idolized Jake, now walked with a seriousness that seemed to age him beyond his years. He looked at Jake, not just as a brother, but as someone who carried burdens he had yet to grasp fully. "Are you feeling better?" he asked one afternoon, sitting beside Jake on the porch swing, their favorite spot. The sky was painted in deep oranges and purples, but the sunset felt less vibrant than usual. Jake took a deep breath, its weight heavy in his lungs. "It hurts, Tommy," he admitted, the honesty striking like a chord of vulnerability. "Sometimes, it feels like a storm inside me, and sometimes, it feels so lonely." Tommy's brows knitted together. "But you're Jake, the funny one, the strong one. His voice cracked slightly with the pressure of his innocence. I'm still that guy. Just it's harder lately. In that moment, an unexpected silence enveloped them. Jake knew he had opened a door, and beyond it lay territory neither of them had dared to explore before. Tommy looked down, shuffling his feet as he processed the change, the actual reality of their family. Meanwhile, Jake's mom found solace at a local support group. She listened, not just for herself but to better understand Jake's battles. It was here, among strangers sharing their secrets, that she began to unravel her own lost emotions. The weight of perfection that she had tried to uphold began to lift. I can be a better mom if I allow myself to be real, she told herself after every meeting, each moment stirring courage in her heart. As days turned into weeks, a new routine formed. Jake started physical therapy, where he met others fighting their own pain. They exchanged stories, and laughter returned, though it felt different, more healing, more connected. They weren't just jokes. They were lifelines in a world that often felt overwhelmingly heavy. The family also began to embrace more open discussions at home. On one evening, around the dinner table, Jake's father spoke up, his voice trembling slightly. We need to be okay with not being okay. It's all right to struggle, and it's okay to ask for help. Everyone nodded in agreement, feeling the warmth of newfound freedom in the air. But amid all this progress, a shadow lingered. There was still fear, the fear of societal perception, judgment from the outside world. If they dared to show their struggles, would the laughter and the love still remain intact? Jake looked at his family members, noticing the silences during moments of vulnerability. Would they truly feel accepted in Maplewood, where everyone seemed to wear normalcy like a badge? One night, as Jake sat alone in his room, he stared out the window at the stars strung across the sky. How do I share this truth without breaking our family? He pondered silently, knowing they were all walking together into uncharted emotional territories. The question hung heavily in the air, pregnant with uncertainty. But beneath that weight lay a flicker of bravery, an urge to speak, to connect, and to be heard. What if revealing their truth could start a ripple of change around them? Jake closed his eyes, the weight of nearly unshareable emotions pressing against his heart. Would the town accept that even laughter had a shadow? As a gentle breeze ruffled the curtains, Jake made a promise to himself. It was time to break the silence. But how? Jake woke up the next morning with a different feeling, a sense of urgency shimmering beneath his unease. Maybe it was the restless night that followed his promise to himself. The shadows in his mind, once indiscernible, now moved like clouds, shifting and changing shape before his very eyes. He stepped outside into a chill that bit at his skin, the cool air sweeping away some of the fog clouding his thoughts. A few feet away, he could see Tommy playing basketball alone, the sound of the ball thudding against the pavement echoing in the stillness. The innocence of his brother's world felt so distant from Jake's own, like they were living in different dimensions. "Hey, Tommy," Jake called out, his voice shaky yet determined. "Can I join?" Tommy paused and looked up, surprise painting his features. "Sure, but I can't promise I won't crush you." He grinned, the familiar teasing tone creeping back into his voice. Jake laughed, the sound catching him off guard. It felt good, but it was tangled up with the heaviness he still carried. He picked up the ball, dribbling it slowly, each bounce a quiet reminder of the fragility of their laughter and connection. As they played, the sunlight transformed the atmosphere, feeling almost like a gentle nudge, encouraging Jake to let down his guard. Between panting breaths and laughter, he said, I think we need to talk more. About everything. How I'm feeling. How you're feeling." Tommy shot him a curious glance, pausing the game. "You mean like, really talk? About the hospital stuff?" "Yeah," Jake replied, the vulnerability curling in his stomach. "I don't want to hide it. Not from you. Not from anyone." Tommy shifted uncomfortably. "I just thought you'd want to act like everything is cool. You always do." "I thought so too," Jake admitted, memories of pretending washing over him. "But pretending is really tiring. I want us to be real even if it's messy." Tommy nodded, his brow furrowing in concentration. Okay, but what if people make fun of us for being honest? Jake contemplated that as they slowly resumed their game. Maybe they will at first, but what if being real helps someone else? What if it makes others feel less alone? The words hung in the air, mingling with the sound of the basketball echoing in the quiet neighborhood. Tommy took a deep breath, growing quiet as he processed Jake's sentiments. A moment stretched between them, where both boys wrestled with their thoughts. Later that evening, the family gathered for dinner. It was an opportunity for Jake to try and weave his resolve into the family fabric. His heart raced as he cleared his throat, reaching for the brave words he rehearsed in his mind. "Can we talk about how we're all doing?" he began, stopping when his father looked up, his expression a mix of encouragement and concern. Jake's mother, seated beside him, reached out to give his hand a comforting squeeze. The conversation began awkwardly but gained momentum as each family member shared their thoughts. The more they talked, the more Jake felt a spark of hope igniting within him. He glanced at Tommy, whose eyes sparkled with surprise and understanding. They laughed and cried, sharing their fears and aspirations. Even vulnerabilities transformed into stepping stones, building a bridge they never knew they needed. Felt liberating. Jake recognized in that moment that the weight of their shared truth might just become their greatest strength. But as they finished their meal, a knock on the door made the air shift. Jake felt his heart drop. Who could that be? The unexpected visitor was standing outside, and as Jake's father opened the door, a familiar face entered, one that brought with it decades of memories. Jake's heart raced, uncertainty clawing at him. Was this the signal he feared, the judgment they had dreaded? "Hey, I heard you all were having a family meeting," the figure said casually, but in his eyes lay years of unspoken words. Jake's breath caught in his throat. Would the honesty they learned to embrace be accepted by this unexpected guest? In that heartbeat, surrounded by his family, uncertainty slipped back in as he clutched the table, wondering if now, after all this growth, they might have to defend their newfound truth. Jake's thoughts raced as his eyes locked onto the visitor's face. It was Uncle Mike, a man whose presence was often larger than life. The years had taken a toll, but his grin still held that mischievous spark that reminded Jake of when he was a kid, pulling pranks and telling outrageous stories. "Uncle Mike," Jake's father said, his voice a mix of surprise and warmth. "What brings you here?" "Just figured I'd crash the family meeting. You know me, always looking for a good chat," Mike said, stepping inside. But Jake could sense something deeper beneath the jovial facade. Tommy glanced at Jake, momentarily bewildered. We were just talking about stuff." He fumbled over the words, clearly feeling the shift in the atmosphere. "Stuff? What, like family stuff? You all look like you're having a therapy session." Mike chuckled, only half fully with his casual tone. Jake's stomach twisted. Did Uncle Mike truly understand? The playful demeanor felt like a veil trying to cover an undercurrent of tension that ran through the room. "Actually," Jake began, taking a deep breath, "we were talking about how we're feeling. Opening up about everything that happened." The words wobbled slightly, the grip on his courage growing tenuous with each syllable. Uncle Mike's expression shifted to something more serious. "Well, that's good. Real good," he replied slowly. "It's important to talk. Family is everything. But not everyone is ready to hear the truth. Sometimes it's hard to tell who's really listening." Jake felt his heart race again. The truth was there, teetering on the edge of revelation, and yet it felt like Mike couldn't fully grasp the gravity of their conversation. He looked around the table. His parents showed a mixture of curiosity and hope while Tommy's brows furrowed in uncertainty. "Are you saying we shouldn't be honest?" Jake asked, search for clarity through the fog. "Oh no, not at all." Mike lifted his hands, palms facing Jake defensively. "I'm just saying that it can get messy, can open wounds and not just yours. Sometimes those around you need protection from pain too." The room fell silent, the weight of his words sinking deeply into their hearts. Jake felt a rush of fear. Were they brave in wanting to explore this honesty, exposing tender places? Were they just asking for a storm? Didn't you deal with your own stuff? Jake said, his voice stronger now. I mean, if you can't be honest after everything you've been through, what's the point? Uncle Mike's face tightened, the shadows of past battles flickering in his eyes. Took me years to process. Trust me, it's not easy. But Jake saw something change in the air, a shift around them that felt palpable. It was an acknowledgement of pain that wove through the generations, stitched between their shared laughter and conflicts. Maybe this was the moment to invite Uncle Mike into the conversation, to break the barriers painfully built in silence. Then maybe we can help each other? If we don't face it together, Jake's words hung, potent and raw, the challenge hanging there unspoken. Mike seemed to ponder this, his jaw tightening. I suppose that's fair. Sweat trickled down Jake's back as he felt the weight of expectations hanging in the air. But hope flickered. Could they really discuss it? After all the fear and judgment, were they prepared to dig down into pain that festered and find strength in vulnerability? Uncle Mike. Tommy spoke up hesitantly. Can we talk about what happened to you? Maybe it could help us understand more. The shift was electric. Jake barely breathed as the memory of Uncle Mike's struggles pulsed like a heartbeat in the room. The old wounds had an opportunity to breathe, and Jake realized that maybe behind the teasing smiles lay deeper truths. What would Mike reveal? Was this the moment they could more fully confront the pain that tied them together? Before Uncle Mike could answer, another knock rattled the door, setting off a fresh wave of anxiety within Jake. What now, he wondered. More people, more opinions, or perhaps another revelation waiting to unfold? The door creaked open once again, the promise of uncharted territory beckoning as dread and curiosity tangled within him. Who was waiting on the other side? The door swung open slowly, revealing a petite woman with eyes that sparkled like sunlight on water. It took Jake a moment to recognize her. Emily, his cousin. She carried an air of warmth and lightness, a stark contrast to the tension in the room. But at that instant, her smile seemed to vanish. Hey, did I miss something? She asked, glancing nervously around the table. Uncle Mike's demeanor softened. Just getting into some deep family stuff, he replied, trying to coax a smile back onto Emily's face. She stepped all the way inside, closing the door behind her. Well, I'm here now. What's going on? Jake could see the genuine spark in her voice, a lifeline tossed into turbulent waters. Tommy gestured for her to take a seat, and the momentary paralysis in the room broke, replaced with hesitance and intrigue. We were about to dive into some truths, Tommy replied, his voice quiet but gaining strength. I love truths, Emily declared, settling into a chair. She looked from one face to another, eyes glinting in anticipation. Who wants to start? Jake hesitated. It felt like an invitation to step into a landscape peppered with pitfalls. But maybe it was a chance worth taking. Uncle Mike, he said, galvanizing his courage, you were just about to share something that could help us understand, maybe help us all. Mike's shoulders slumped, but the tension softened a little. I guess it's about time, he said, glancing across the table. There's an old story, one I've never shared fully. It's not pretty, but it's mine. A wave of electricity rippled through the room. All eyes were glued on Mike, heavy with anticipation, yet light with hope. Jake leaned forward, his heart thundering. It happened several years ago, Mike started, voice low and deliberate. I was in a dark place, struggling with more than most knew. After a particularly bad fall, I found out I had a serious injury. Jake held his breath. The words hit like stones thrown in water, sending ripples of pain and clarity. I thought I was invincible, Mike continued, a bitter laugh escaping him. But the pain was unbearable. I kept it hidden, always the jokester in the family. I masked it with humor so no one would question me. I didn't want to be a burden. Emily's eyes widened. But you were so lively. How did we not see it? Mike shrugged, his expression impossibly sad but oddly enlightening. Sometimes things are hidden even in plain sight. I felt like I needed to protect everyone. But in doing so, I lost sight of myself. Jake felt his gut twist. But you shared it today, he said, urgency pouring through him. That's brave. I guess it is, Mike mused, glancing at his hands. The truth is it still affects me. The emotional scars linger longer than the physical ones. There was a pause. Jake noticed the weight of Mike's words pressing down, wrapping around them like a heavy blanket. Tommy finally spoke up, breaking the silence. But we can help each other, right? Like you said before? There was a crack of defiance in his voice, as if he was challenging the shadows hanging over them. Mike met Tommy's gaze, nodding slowly. Yes, this is how we find strength together. Suddenly, the atmosphere felt lighter, yet the air crackled with adrenaline as truths began to weave their way into the conversation. It was bittersweet, an acknowledgement of battles fought silently. Just then, Jake's phone vibrated on the table, jolting his focus. He glanced down, the screen lighting up with an unknown number. A swirl of anxiety twisted within him. What did this mean? What's that? Emily asked, eyes darting to Jake's phone. I don't know. Jake's pulse quickened. He hesitated, then answered it. Hello? A pause on the other line made his heart thud heavily. This felt big, unraveling. The next words would either build on the fragile connection they had begun or complicate it all over again. Is this Jake? A voice asked coldly. You need to sit down. We have something important to discuss about your brother. Jake froze, a chilling realization reverberating through him. What was coming next? Would it shatter their moment of shared truths, or could it lead them to uncover even deeper wells of understanding? Jake's fingers trembled as he held the phone, a sense of dread washing over him. He felt the life in the room drain, the warmth of shared truths faltering in an instant. His eyes darted from Emily's hopeful face to Uncle Mike's furrowed brow. Who is this? Jake managed to ask, voice wavering. It's important we speak face to face. Your brother, he is hurt. We think you should come to the hospital, the voice replied, devoid of any emotion. Hospital? Jake repeated, the word feeling almost foreign on his tongue. A tumult of emotions threatened to explode inside him: confusion, fear, anger. What do you mean? The voice continued with monotonous urgency. He was in an incident. You need to know the full details in person. Just come. Quickly. But Jake couldn't move. His body had gone rigid as thoughts raced through his mind. This couldn't be happening. He wanted to yell, to scream. Instead, everything felt surreal, as if he was observing this horror from somewhere far away. Jake! Tommy's concerned voice broke through the fog. Are you all right? Not now, Tommy. Jake snapped, frustration bubbling to the surface. He felt suffocated, the air suddenly hot and heavy. He didn't know what to do. His brother, Adam, the one who used to turn every moment into a joke. The one who seemed unstoppable. The memories came flooding back: laughter shared on lazy Sundays, endless pranks that kept the family entertained. But now everything felt tainted with fear. Who was that? Uncle Mike asked, his voice low and steady, trying to reel Jake back in. It was someone from the hospital. Jake stuttered, trying to mask his rising panic. They said Adam's, he couldn't finish. The lump thickened in his throat, choking any further words as the weight of the moment tightened its grip. Emily's expression shifted to one of concern, the playfulness vanishing. What happened to Adam, Jake? She leaned forward, eyes wide and searching his face for clarity. I don't know yet. Jake nearly shouted, frustration spilling out. They said there was an incident, that I had to go. Why can't anyone just tell me what's wrong? Mike placed a steadying hand on Jake's shoulder. We'll go together. Whatever it is, we'll face it as a family. Though Jake felt the flicker of hope in Mike's words, anxiety loomed larger. He quickly turned toward Emily. You should come too. Your family. You know Adam. What about me? Tommy interjected, fear lacing his voice. I can help. Let me drive. No. I don't want anyone else getting involved in this. Jake's voice cracked, a mix of protectiveness and desperation spilling out. He felt his heart race, the reality of Adam's injury striking him like a bolt of lightning. Jake glanced from Emily's supportive stare to Tommy's worried frown. Listen, Jake, Mike said firmly. We all need to be there. You don't have to do this alone. You never have to. The reality that his brother might be hurt suddenly made everything else in the room fade. The shared laughter, The deep conversations about vulnerability, all of it seemed trivial now, overshadowed by the threat that loomed over them. Jake swallowed hard, fighting to hold back the wave of emotions crashing over him. "Okay," he finally said, his voice almost breaking. "Let us go." They quickly gathered their things, a swirl of fear and urgency pushing them forward. But deep down Jake felt something was off. What had happened to Adam? Why couldn't he shake the feeling that this was just the beginning? As they walked out, a heavy silence fell over them. With each step toward the door, Jake felt the burden of the unknown settle heavily on his shoulders. What new truths awaited them? Would this change everything? The car ride felt endless, shadows creeping into his thoughts. Jake's heart raced, haunted by the uncertainty of what awaited them. But one thing gnawed at him. Why had this all started with a joke? What hidden pain lay beneath the laughter? And just as they pulled up to the hospital, the tension was palpable. What awaited them inside could shatter everything they thought they knew about their family or unite them even more deeply in their shared struggles. The fluorescent lights of the hospital flickered above, casting an eerie glow over the busy waiting room. As they entered, a wave of anxiety washed over Jake, drawing him into its depths. The stark smell of antiseptic filled his nostrils, reminding him of the gravity of the situation. He scanned the room, searching for a familiar face, but all he saw were strangers with furrowed brows and worried expressions etched into their features. "Where do we go?" Emily whispered, her voice barely rising above the muffled sounds of medical chatter. "Over there." Mike pointed toward a reception desk where a nurse was typing furiously. Jake's legs felt heavy as they approached, each step laden with unspoken fears. He couldn't shake the image of Adam smiling, carefree, transforming every moment into joy. How could that person be hurt? Adam was invincible, or at least he was supposed to be. "Excuse me," Mike said, addressing the nurse. "We're here for news about Adam Miller." The nurse looked up, her expression turning grave. "You need to speak with the doctor. Please have a seat. I'll call you when he's ready." Her words hit Jake like a storm, and he cast a glance back at Emily and Tommy. Tommy's face was pale, and Emily's hands wrung together nervously. They settled into plastic chairs, the tension so thick it felt like a physical barrier around them. Minutes crawled into an eternity, each tick of the clock feeling like a reminder of their waiting. Jake sat hunched over, elbows resting on his knees, his heart racing as he tried to breathe through the rising tide of panic. What if Tommy finally broke the silence, but he didn't finish. "Don't think like that," Emily breathed, her eyes wide as she glanced at Jake. "He's going to be okay. We just have to believe that." Belief felt tenuous at that moment. Jake wished he could cling to her words, but the grip of dread was too strong. With every passing second, the memories rushed in Adam launching water balloons at unsuspecting family members, his contagious laughter ringing in their ears. Suddenly, a doctor in a white coat entered the waiting area, and Jake's heart skipped a beat. The doctor approached them, his gait deliberate, face stoic. "Are you the family of Adam Miller?" "Yeah, that's us," Jake said, his voice strained. "Can we take this to a private room?" the doctor asked, his eyes softening. The air turned electric as they followed him down the sterile hallway, Jake feeling his pulse quicken with every step. What would the doctor say? What could he say that would change everything for them? Inside the small room, the doctor turned to them, and Jake could see the weight of his responsibility in his gaze. "I need to talk to you about your brother's condition," he began, and a hollow echo filled the air, sucking all the light out of the moment. Jake clasped his hands together, fighting against the surge of emotions. "Is he going to be okay?" he asked, the question spilling from his lips like a prayer. The doctor paused, and in that moment, time seemed to stop. "In order to answer that question, I need to discuss some details of the incident." As the doctor laid out the facts, each word carved deeper into Jake's already fraying heart. He couldn't help but feel as if he were standing on the edge of a cliff, about to plunge into an abyss. What was hidden beneath the surface of their family's laughter? What truths would emerge from this painful chapter? Every detail unfolded like a cruel joke, and with every revelation, The weight of their family's shared experience bore down on them all. Was Adam really just a source of fun? Or was there something darker lurking beneath his humor? Jake's mind spun with questions, each one more daunting than the last. In the face of this unfolding tragedy, their lives were irreversibly altered. Would they emerge stronger? Or would the laughter they shared fade into silence forever? As they absorbed the news, a quiet resolve began to form inside Jake. Amid their fractured family narrative, perhaps there was a chance for healing. The struggle was far from over, but they would face it together. Yet, even as hope flickered, one thought lingered in Jake's mind. What was the true cost of Adam's laughter? And as they took that first step into uncertainty, what other secrets would be unearthed in the process? The doctor's voice faded into a distant hum, merging with the pounding of Jake's heart. He glanced at Emily, her face pale, while Tommy fought back tears. They were all standing on shifting ground, a family unsure of what was to come. After what felt like an eternity, the doctor finished, leaving an unsettling silence clinging to the air. Jake struggled to comprehend the weight of the words just spoken. "What do we do now?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper, filled with uncertainty. The doctor exchanged a glance with them, a mixture of sympathy and professional detachment. "We'll monitor his condition closely. He has some internal injuries that will require observation and possibly surgery." The sharp intake of air echoed between them, the room suddenly feeling too small, too stifling. With each piece of information, the reality settled deeper into Jake's bones. Their laughter, their carefree moments, it all seemed overshadowed by a truth that had always lingered beneath the surface. "Can we see him?" Emily asked, her voice trembling. "Not just yet. He's in recovery. Once he stabilizes, I'll let you know," the doctor replied, though his tone hinted at a long wait ahead. As they processed the news, Jake's thoughts spiraled. He remembered the time Adam had paraded around in a chicken suit, cracking jokes and throwing feathered pillows in a mock fight. That levity now felt like a distant memory, a stark contrast to the medical nightmare unfolding before them. Tommy broke the silence, his voice strained. "Why didn't we know? We should have seen it coming." The accusation hung heavily in the air, a charged question they all wrestled with. Had they failed to see the cracks in Adam's laughter? The weight of their unvoiced worries pressed on Jake's chest, suffocating his heart. "We can't blame ourselves," Jake countered, though he wasn't sure if he believed it. "We trusted him to be okay. He always was. We need to be there for him," Emily suddenly declared, her eyes fierce with determination. "He wouldn't want us falling apart." With that, a flicker of purpose ignited within Jake. He wanted to fight for Adam, to reclaim the joy that had been so effortlessly woven into their lives. "You're right," he said slowly, gathering strength from her words. "We need to support him, together." Yet as they sat in that small room, the uncertainty gnawed at them. Questions swirled like a tornado. What other things had they not seen? What pain lay hidden behind Adam's laughter? The doctor reappeared, breaking through the dark cloud hovering over them. "I have an update. Let's take a moment to discuss some further steps." As they followed him, a cold dread returned, settling deep in Jake's gut. He felt as though he was being led further into a labyrinth, and he had no idea what awaited him at the center. "Can I really face the truth?" he thought, fearing what else might surface in the wake of Adam's incident. Would this journey reveal the cost of their laughter, or perhaps even secrets buried deeper than he could imagine? As they entered the consultation room, a fleeting thought trailed behind Jake. Would their family emerge from this stronger, or forever changed in ways they couldn't anticipate? The questions loomed larger than life, echoing the heart-wrenching uncertainty of what lay ahead. His heart raced not just for Adam, but for every truth waiting to be uncovered. Where would this path take them, and would they all be able to handle what they might find? The consultation room was a stark contrast to the waiting area, its clinical lighting even harsher. Jake felt the sterile air pressing down, amplifying the fears that swirled inside him. The doctor gestured for them to sit, his expression serious but kind. "Adam's injuries are significant," he began, his voice steady, We'll need to run more tests. An MRI is essential to understand the full extent of the internal damage. Jake's heart sank. How long will that take? The thought of waiting any longer made his stomach twist. Hopefully not too long, the doctor replied, a hint of reassurance in his tone. But I need you to be prepared for the possibility of a longer recovery process. ELL needs support. Emily looked at Jake, her eyes wide with concern. What if he doesn't come back to us the same? The vulnerability in her voice pierced through the numbness that enveloped them. Jake swallowed hard. We'll make sure he feels as much love and support as we can give. Tommy nodded, though the tears brimmed in his eyes, threatening to spill over. The doctor continued, outlining the plan, but the words blurred together. All Jake could think about was Adam's laughter, so vibrant and contagious. How could it possibly hide such deep-seated pain? When the discussion came to an end, the doctor excused himself to prepare for the MRI. The air felt heavier now, amplified by the silence left behind. They glanced at each other, each processing the information in their own way. Should we reach out to Dad? Tommy suggested hesitantly. He should know. Do you think he'll handle it? Seeing Adam like this? Emily's voice trembled. It's not about how he handles it, Jake said, feeling a swell of protective instinct. It's about Adam. He needs all of us. As they talked, Jake felt a knot of anger bubbling inside him. How had they neglected the signs? How had they let Adam laugh through his pain, while they remained oblivious? He was drowning in guilt. I should have been there for him. I should have asked more. Emily reached for Jake's hand, squeezing it tight. We can't change what already happened. But we can be there now, she reminded him softly. As if on cue, the doctor returned with news. The MRI is ready to start soon. Would you like to be there when he wakes up? Yes. They responded almost in unison, relief flooding through Jake as hope rekindled. Minutes felt like days as they waited. Each tick of the clock amplified their worries. Jake took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm inside. What if Adam woke up and didn't recognize them? What if he couldn't speak? The what-ifs haunted him, echoing louder with each passing second. Finally, the door swung open again, revealing a nurse with a gentle smile. You can see him now. Her eyes sparkled with compassion, creating an almost surreal warmth amidst the tension. Jake led the way, heart hammering, as they approached Adam's room. With each step, his mind raced with what lay ahead. Would they find a brother still wrapped in laughter, or would he be trapped beneath layers of unexpressed hurt? As the door creaked open, Jake inhaled deeply. He stepped forward, ready to embrace whatever awaited them on the other side, a reunion that could change everything. But moments before he crossed the threshold, a thought froze him in place. What would the truth of Adam's pain unravel in their family dynamics? Would they be able to uncover shared sorrows and deepen their bond? Or would it tear them apart? He hesitated, a million emotions swirling inside him, as the door beckoned. Jake stood still, the uncertainty wrapping around him like a heavy blanket. He could sense the others behind him, their anticipation building like an untamed wave ready to crash down. The soft beeping of the machines inside Adam's room punctuated the silence, a reminder that they were about to step into a reality none of them had anticipated. With a deep breath, Jake pushed the door open, and the sight that greeted him took his breath away. Adam lay there, pale against the white sheets, the shadows of pain lingering on his face like a whispered secret. Tubes connected to him, machines humming a mechanical lullaby. It was everything Jake had feared and more. Gone was the vibrant brother who filled their lives with joy and laughter. Adam, Jake breathed, the name escaping his lips like an aching prayer. He stepped closer, feeling Tommy and Emily right behind him. The weight of their family's laughter, ever present before, felt like a distant memory now. Is he going to be okay? Tommy whispered, clenching his fists, desperately searching for answers that seemed just out of reach. I hope so, Jake replied, his voice trembling. He.S. tough. He.S. always been tough. They moved closer, drawn by an invisible thread. As Jake looked at Adam, something cracked open inside him, a mixture of love and guilt surging forth. He couldn't shake the feeling that he had missed so many signs, had let his brother down in ways that would haunt him. "Hey, buddy," he murmured, squeezing Adam's hand gently. "It's us. We're here." Each word was a lifeline thrown into an ocean of uncertainty, hoping against hope that Adam would grasp it. Minutes ticked by, each one feeling like a lifetime. With every passing second, Jake felt his emotions oscillate between fear and hope. Would Adam wake up, cracking a joke and making everything feel normal again? Finally, to their collective shock, Adam stirred. His eyelids fluttered before slowly revealing the beautiful brown eyes Jake had looked into countless times. Connecting with Adam's gaze felt like grasping a frail branch in a raging storm. "Bro?" Adam croaked, his voice hoarse, barely above a whisper. Words tumbled out like confetti, a chaotic celebration of life amidst the pain. Jake almost couldn't bear the rawness of it. "Yeah, it's me," Jake said, tears brimming in his eyes. "You're safe. We're all here." Adam blinked, an almost imperceptible smile appearing. "Did Tommy finally beat you at something?" The familiar teasing tones sparked warm laughter in the room, but it was tinged with uncertainty. "Not yet," Tommy replied, relief flooding his voice. "But just wait until you're back." As they shared brief moments filled with laughter and concern, the tension in the air began to shift. What had once felt heavy and burdensome started to feel lighter. Perhaps this incident had fractured their world, but now, just maybe, it was opening up a pathway toward understanding. "Jake, I need to tell you something," Adam murmured more seriously, gaze holding his brother's. "I've been carrying a lot pain, and I didn't want to share it." Jake paused, chest tightening. "But we want to support you. You don't have to carry it alone," he pleaded, recalling their shared commitment to honesty that had begun before this ordeal. "I know that now," Adam replied softly, tears forming in his eyes. It just seemed easier to joke around. Their eyes connected, and in that moment, a mutual understanding unfolded. It was like shedding old skin, revealing something raw and real beneath. "Hey, let us promise each other something," Jake offered, the impulse surging through him. "No more hiding, no more masks, just truth even if it's messy." Adam nodded slowly, a tear rolling down his cheek. "Yeah, I do like that." Emily stepped forward, her presence radiating warmth. "And we're all in this together. Family means sharing everything. We can help each other heal." With every declaration, they mounted a bridge above the chasm of their unspoken fears and hidden struggles. Slowly but surely, laughter began to weave its way back into their lives, not as a mask but as a part of their healing. As time went on, visits with Adam became a sanctuary of sorts. Jake felt a profound shift in their family's dynamics. The tightness of their hearts loosened a little with each honest conversation, each shared vulnerability. Adam's laughter returned, but this time it was accompanied by a newfound authenticity. Even beyond the walls of the hospital, they began inviting truth into their interactions. Each sisterhood, brotherhood, sonship, and motherhood deepened. Nights were spent sharing thoughts around the dinner table, hearts laid bare as they swapped stories of pain, friendship, and laughter. Once impenetrable barriers melted into fluid connections as the honesty that had once frightened them became their greatest strength. The laughter that once masked their struggles transformed into the steadfast bond that uplifted them all. And while Jake knew the journey to healing would continue to present challenges, he also understood this was just the beginning. They weren't perfect and they would still stumble. But if they could face their unseen battles together, they could tackle anything, and the stitched laughter they shared would elevate them. Stepping into the vast universe of uncertainty, joy mingled with awareness. Jake could feel hope flickering like stars above, guiding them on. Let us face it together. Now, if you love this emotional journey just as much as I do, you need to subscribe now. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. This is the moment to show your support.